Hello. Today we're going to talk about the evolution of networking. We're going to arrive at a high security enterprise network, and maybe we'll go a little bit further. We'll talk about a couple of things. We're going to do a little bit more of a whiteboarding session and a back and forth. So, hope you enjoy. This is Epic Home Tech. I'm Jeremy, and my co-host Jared.
Hello, hello.
And let's get started. So, here we're looking at diagrams.net or draw.io as it used to be called. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started to start drawing some networking stuff. If you've watched my videos, you know I'm not a terribly big Cisco guy. However, they do have some mighty good stencils in here. I don't need this. I'm going to try to make this a little bit smaller. Then we're going to play around here. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to have some fun. What's a network? Yeah, we'll do this. What about an office? Keep that one too. Or VMware. And maybe we'll do AWS. Because we like AWS, right? AWS is good stuff. We'll do this one. Alright. Let's go. Alright. So Jared and I are going to start a new company. And what's the first thing you do when you start a new company? Assign arbitrary titles and get yourself an office. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that. Oh no, what is that? That was weird. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So Jared and I started a company, and Jared's title is going to be CEO, and I'm going to be the CTO. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get our computer set up and we're going to go sit down in an office. Because that's where everybody wants to go, into an office, right? So Jared, you tell me, the CTO, we need a network, right?
Yes. Probably with, just to start, be able to get to the internet so I can check my email.
There you go. Check your email. That's what everybody does on the internet. So there we go. There's an internet's. And we want to be able to put some computers there. So here's Jared's computer. And here's Jeremy's computer. Why is my mouse not cooperating with me? Alright. So we got a router. Dude, this is frustrating.
What is going on?
Wow. So we got our computers and we got a router. Routers will typically only have one layer 3 ports, so we'll need a switch. And switches are the greatest thing to happen in networking. It's certainly a hell of a lot better than the hub. So we popped in a switch, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to connect all these beasties up. There we go. We've got our first network. Congratulations. Our little network sim is running. Then we realize that there's bad guys out there, and we have to go ahead and start doing some security. Introduced in the 90s, all those good things about firewalls. And for anybody who's as old as we are, the introduction of deep packet inspection. So that was when exciting things started happening with networking. So we introduced a firewall, and there was much rejoice. So the firewall obviously introduced all of the wonderful things related to packet filtering, source destination, and port filtering. And other greater things later. But this is our first network. Jared and I have a company. So we start getting more and more people, and we start adding more and more computers. Computer. So now we've got all of these computers, and they're all hooked up onto the internets, and all of the nasty things on the internet are coming in. So we need to start adding some more things. So we start adding all kinds of wonderful concepts like malware and persistent threats, advanced persistent threats, threat actors, all of the wonderful things in the world. So we have to start introducing things like virus scan. Do I have a virus scanning thing? Do I have a malware detection jobber in here? So you'll introduce virus scanning. So we've got malware detection. So we'll go ahead and we'll just put this here and we'll say we have malware detection. So that could be host based. So we take malware detection and we're going to put it on the host. So, all right, so there's malware detection.
There we go.
You can also put malware detection on some firewalls. What do they call a firewall when you start adding services like that? They call it a Unified Threat Manager. A UTM. Not to be confused with a UTI. Nobody wants those. So we've got a Unified Threat Manager. So that adds our malware detection. Maybe we've got intrusion detection systems. Maybe we've got intrusion prevention systems. And what's the difference between an intrusion detection and an intrusion prevention system?
I think the obvious, maybe. One is preventing, one is already after the fact. Would that be correct?
Yeah, pretty close, pretty close. We can go with that, we can go with that. So an intrusion detection system is going to use heuristics, signature-based detection mechanisms, other types of functionality. But the important thing is an intrusion detection system is non-invasive. It doesn't participate in the flows directly. It doesn't have any tools or functionality to intervene, not directly. You could do something like an intrusion detection system triggers an event-driven, workflow that results in the prevention of traffic. An intrusion prevention system operates in line with the traffic flows, and when an alert or malicious activity or strange behaviors start happening, it will actually take action and prevent traffic. So it would change and manipulate the firewalls, your packet processing, traffic filtering. So that would be an IPS. So we've got a Unified Threat Manager, malware detection. Maybe we got like spam filters. Maybe we've got, so you've got a spam filter for your email. So it'd be doing things like mail relaying, and you would have it filtering all of your traffic, your email. Maybe you've got, what else would you want to put in here? Malware detection, spam filter. Maybe you've got like a web proxy so that you can proxy all of your traffic coming in and out and do things like man in the middle and SSL inspection, other types of functionality. So we stepped our game up, right? So just, me and Jared in the before time, it was pretty easy to account for who was doing what. So if Jared was doing something malicious, then, I would know. And if I was doing something malicious, Jared would know. If a bad guy was trying to get in, then we would take action. But now we've got lots of people. So now we introduce all kinds of things like insider threats and human elements that would be unwittingly victimized, and those would lead to the victimization of your network. So there we go. We started with something small, and we quickly had to grow to something bigger. So maybe this is like a 30, 40 person company. So we got big, and we got more. So our network grew. I need to put icons in my little... Let's do this. Go. Damn it. Dude, this is not cooperating. No, my thing's all over the place. Get that. Merp. There we go. Switch. Merp. There we go. Hold a firewall. Nope. That'll do. Delete you. My mouse is not liking me. So frustrating. Alright. So we created a simple network, and then our company grew. So what would be the next thing we need to do in our newly created company that's growing, Jared? So how did we grow? Did we grow vertically, or did we grow horizontally? Did we get bigger in one place, or did we, spread out and have multiple offices throughout?
I would say probably multiple offices throughout.
All right. So one internet, right?
Yes.
Do I have an oval? I don't want an oval. All right, so we have one internet, and we've got multiple offices, and we've got firewalls, because the internet is a filthy, filthy place, filled with all kinds of terrible things. Keep you up at night. And we go ahead and we're going to go and tie ourselves to the internet, because that's what everybody does. You give away privacy so that somebody else can make money off of it. Dude, I'm going to have to consider getting a new mouse. This is ridiculous. Highly ineffective. All right, so we've got two offices because we're going to start small. Maybe we've got an East Coast and a West Coast, right? Because that's always pretty easy. East and West. And we're all on premises, right? We haven't adopted the cloud yet.
For now. Everybody
knows that the cloud is the place to be. That's where all the cool kids are. So we've got our network. We've got a firewall. And we've got a router. We're gonna join the modern age. We're gonna join the modern age. Because a firewall can be a router, right?
Correct.
That's right, because ultimately that's all a firewall is, right? It's got two segments and it does routing, but it does routing with packet filtering. We don't have to give it fancy words and call it a security appliance, or, give it a 3-letter acronym like, adaptive security appliance or something. So we created a network, and East Coast and West Coast. Dude, it's like it keeps forgetting that I want to left click. Oh, now it just gives me extra clicks. Alright, so, dude, I'm gonna struggle with this all fucking night. Alright, so we created some networks, and we're gonna put some people out here. So we've got an actor. This is not a malicious actor, at least not yet. Maybe it'll be like Fable, right? If you don't treat the actor right, the good actor, they become an evil actor. So we've got people. We've got humans. Humans are our network. So we've got humans, and let's say this is our finance person. And we've got another finance person over here, right? Because at the end of the day, every business is focused on making money. So you gotta have finance people. You gotta have money people. Budgets. Alright, so we've got budget people, but our business isn't budgets and finance. We don't do that kind of stuff. That's not exciting. So we're gonna go, and we've got another department, right? So we've got a tech department. That sounds fun, right? Tech is fun.
Place to be. Place to be.
That's what they say. That's where all the cool kids are. In the cloud and in the tech department. So we've got the IT guy. Maybe, no, he's going to be an IT engineer. Maybe he'll be an engineer technician. Because everybody needs to be a technician. No, we'll just stick with IT engineer. IT engineer technician just gets too long. Alright, so let's see. Switches aren't lined up. I'm that guy that has way too much focus on my Visio diagrams. I'm like, oh no, it's not lined up. Can't have that. I can't have it. All right, so we've got IT engineers. And you've got finance people. And the two of them have no reason to be working in each other's networks, right? You've got IT engineers that are producing an IT product that you're selling somewhere else. I don't know what we're selling. What's our thing? What are we selling?
I don't know. We want to stay tech, or do we want to do something else? Are you saying we're selling software?
Yeah. Let's say we're selling software, and we're providing a service. There we go. We're developing software now. Very simple software, nothing too complicated, and it's just a sell and install on your computer kind of software. Something simple. I don't know what that simple is, but it's going to be something simple. Because we had a good idea, and we figured out how to get it off the ground. But we don't have a very exciting imagination right now. We're just excited to be making some of that internet money. So we're going to go ahead, and we're selling something simple. We're making something simple, but we've got IT engineers that are doing it. So it's some software stuff. And our software stuff is going to be built by our IT engineers, and we've got our finance guys managing our money. And the two of them don't really need to be working with each other. So we're going to separate them, because we're going to start focusing on segmentation, and we're going to start focusing on things like least privilege and least access. The IT engineer doesn't need to be talking to the finance systems. So finance guy has his own finance system, a finance person. So we've got our finance person, and our finance person is in our finance department. And we're going to separate our finance person from our IT engineer, and we're going to separate them via layer 2 technologies, and those are called VLANs. So we're going to give them VLAN, and we're going to say VLAN 10. So our finance people are on VLAN 10. And we've got our IT engineers on VLAN 20. How's that sound?
Perfect.
So you're the CEO. So what do you think, boss? Does that sound good?
I like it. I like it.
Do I work for you, or are we like lateral? Are we kind of equal?
I would say that we're equal. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I'm sure you're just telling me that so I don't feel bad about my position in life.
I get a bigger bonus check, but we're equal.
Okay, there we go. I can live with that. I don't see the finance stuff because I'm just an IT engineer, so for all I know, we're getting paid the exact same, and our bonuses are the same.
You're riding VLAN 20.
That's right. Oh, yep. See, that's the importance of doing diagrams, so you can double check and make sure you're building your network according to what you're designing here. All right. So all the engineers are on VLAN 20, and all the finance folks are on VLAN 10. So we've got everybody separated. When you're looking at things like your firewalls, they're going to have different interfaces. You know, did we do sub interfaces, or did we do separate physical interfaces? Ultimately, it doesn't matter, right? So, because the separation between the physical and the virtual, you know, it's becoming, you know, less of a thing. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pop a switch in here, and this switch does VLANing because every switch worth buying does VLANing. So we're gonna do that, and I need to fix my lines because otherwise I'm gonna get irritated and all itchy and stuff. We don't need whatever that thing is. You. What is that? Oh man, this mouse, it's killing me. All right. Oh, dude, it did it again. I'm getting a new mouse. I gotta start a Patreon, and then people can support my mouse issues. Help me buy a new mouse. I'm just a lowly VTuber. I'm gonna get a mouse. What is going on? Now I can't
Yeah,
even
why is that
select
not
things.
selecting it?
Yeah. So Craft Computing, Jeff at Craft Computing did a great video on some trackballs, because I love me some trackballs. So we've got different switches. Maybe we're doing this like work group style, right? So we've got a couple little switches here and there. We've got an IDF, and we're distributing our switching connectivity. So why would you establish an IDF, Jared? What is an IDF? What is an IDF? What is an MDF?
I mean, that would be a closet where you would be bringing your backbone cabling to. It would be a centralized point for potential, for backbone cabling, sometimes equipment, if you're running into distance limitations, depending on how big your building is.
Distance
But
limitations.
mainly,
Very good, very good. What do you call the zone or the area around your switch that you can place computers within that distance limitation? What do you call that?
say that again.
So we've got the switch. We've got the switch, and we're going to run some copper cables, and we're going to say Cat 6, Cat 7, and we're going to run those out to workstations. What do you call the zone around that switch that you can put computers within that distance? So that zone is the distance. So let's say we've got this. I don't want that. We want an ellipse. So we've got this ellipse here, and we've got our switch. And what do you call this zone around the switch where you can place computers?
I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea.
They call it the catchment area, the space that you can put things. They call it the catchment area. So this would be all of the things that you can fit within this zone. So let's say you've got 1,000 ports on this switch rack, because you've got a whole rack of switches, because they don't make 1,000 port switch. That would be ridiculous, and maybe they do, but who would buy it? That's like putting all of your eggs in one basket, just waiting for that basket to fall apart and kill all of your potential chickens. So all of those 1,000 systems that would be within this volume around the switch. And what is that volume? What is that distance for Ethernet on Cat 5, 6, 7? At
Roughly
1 gig, 10 gig.
I was gonna say, isn't it roughly 300 feet?
Yeah, about that. It's 100 meters.
Yep.
So what is the distance for multi-mode fiber? Multi-mode fiber on, we'll say, OM3. So what is OM3?
That's 50 micron, isn't it? Yep.
It is 50 micron. It is a specific spec. OM3 and OM4 are the two common ones. OM4 is the more common because it supports 10 gig. OM3 can support 10 gig, but it doesn't support beyond that. So OM4. So OM4 is a multi-mode cable. OM3 is a multi-mode cable. 50 micron fiber, and it has a distance limitation, I believe, of 300 meters. So OM3, and we're going to go distance limitation. So am I right? Boom!
Hey,
300
look at
meters.
that.
It's like I know my shit. So what about OM4? Does it change? What do you think?
Yeah, I would think so.
So it will change based on the speeds at which you're trying to travel in most cases. So
Now, just out of curiosity, what's the distance limitation on single mode?
Now that is an excellent question. That is an excellent question. And the answer is, it depends. It depends on the light and the wavelength you're trying to send. So let's say you're going to go with, oh man, what is the spec? What is the name for single mode fiber? So single mode fiber OS2. So you've got single mode fiber, and you're going to send some light on it. You've got two options for single mode. What are your two wavelengths for single mode fiber? The two common ones, I should say.
I'm not gonna lie, because I haven't really worked with single mode all that much.
All right, so we've got two different specific wavelengths that you're going to be operating in. You've got the 1310, which is your common, low-cost, kind of long-haul optic. And distance is a very it depends thing. 1310 goes a specific distance. One issue with 1310 is it can't be amped. You can't amplify the signal on the fiber. You have to do what they call an OEO operation. It's optical to electrical to optical. So you're actually changing it from the light signal to an electrical signal and back to a light signal. They also call that regeneration. With 1550 nanometer light, you can use what they call an erbium doped fiber. And it is a very specific type of amp. It is called an erbium doped fiber amplifier. So an erbium doped fiber amplifier can amplify light on a single mode cable for a very specific wavelength range, and that specific range is the 1550 range. So you're able to amp up the signals on the fiber with 1550 nanometer light specifically. So when we go to, here it is. So they call it, so they've got a pump. So the pump sends in a specific wavelength of light, and that excites the erbium, which amplifies the light and then sends it back down the path. So nice. Doped fiber amplifiers. So 1550. Now, distance. When you start talking about distance on fiber, like single mode fiber, they'll typically give you, and here's the air quotes, a distance in kilometers. But what it really means is the amount of attenuation on the fiber. How much loss are you getting on that signal between amplifiers? Now, there are the kind of like ultimate distance limitations. Every time you amplify a signal, you are amplifying both your revenue signal, the thing that you want, as well as the noise. It's similar to radio. And they're very similar if you look at them through an oscilloscope. You will have a noise floor where your noise is, and so when you amplify your light, let's see if we can find a picture of something like a wave pattern. But so when you amplify your revenue light, the things that you're interested in, you're also amplifying your noise. So as you bring that noise up, the signal to noise ratio changes, and as you keep amplifying that, you begin losing more of the signal, and you also get what they call dispersion. That dispersion also kind of muddies the signal. Then you need to get something like a dispersion compensator, which tightens up the band, but you begin losing more of that fidelity. So there are multiple companies that...
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you're going to find 9 times out of 10, maybe your service provider is bringing in their stuff from the street on single mode, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to either have a multi-mode, either 50 micron, or if it's an older space, 62.5 micron in space, correct? I mean, I can't listen. I'm just
within your building, your on-premise. Let's say it's a single building. So we've got one office building. You know, you and I we're in the big leagues now. So we've got a multi-floor building, and we're renting it all ourselves. So we've got 3 floors. We would run multi-mode fiber between the floors. We would probably run copper out to the desks. But we would run multi-mode fiber. And why would we run multi-mode fiber? Because the optics are cheaper. However, the fiber is more expensive. Single mode fiber is cheaper than multi-mode fiber. But again, the optics are far more expensive for single mode. They're also less available, and they're not something that you would be, putting into all of your devices simply because you don't need to. So
Sure.
multi-mode, you're going to run multi-mode between all of your floors. But yes, you're right. If a service provider is bringing in your business class internet service, it's typically going to come in on a single mode optic. So you're going to typically be a 1310. So let's say we've got our service provider here. Here's our internet, and they're going to have a thing called a like a NID, a network interface device, somewhere within the catchment area. So we're going to bring back to that word, within the catchment area of the 1310 optical signaling. Maybe they've got a device that they install within your premise facility, in your rack, in your telco room, in your wire closet, near the point of presence, the internet pop. So maybe they've got a device there. We're doing Verizon business class internet service. They're coming in on a fiber, and they've got like a Sienna device sitting in the rack, and they're going to give you a handoff. And maybe that handoff is a 1310 single mode, or it's a 1 gig, or maybe it's a 10 gig copper. That's usually something that you can negotiate with your service provider. So definitely when you're dialing up these services and you're getting these, internet service providers to come and turn these services up, talk to them about what they're going to be installing. And you should always talk to your service provider to know what that signaling is. You should always know what that signaling is